Good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open for business here. And let's wake up the football guys. Wake up here, guys. It is hump day. It is the middle of the week. It is halfway there. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It seems like the time is flying by. This is week 5 of the NFL, and it's unbelievable. And we have some news. Another Tennessee Titan player has tested positive for COVID. They were supposed to open their facilities today, but I don't think that's going to happen. And also, too, on Tuesday's test for the New England Patriots, we already know that Cam Newton is on the COVID list. Well, it turns out Stephon Gilmore is now added to that list as well. And of course, there's the concern of how much is this spreading, how many more players will test positive, and will this have an effect on whether or not we have a season? The first couple of weeks, everything seemed to be hunky-dory and fine. Now, all of a sudden, we're getting a lot of players that are testing positive. The NFL is doing everything they can to try and clamp down on this thing, and hopefully they can continue to keep it pretty safe. Um, Unfortunately, what happens to us is we get fatigued. It's kind of like last year. Last year, about this time, me and Mike went to Puerto Rico for the second time. And people I asked the first time we were going, they're like, "Why are you going to Puerto Rico?" I was like, "To help out with hurricane devastation." They're like, "But that was like 2 years ago." Well, I hate to tell you that it takes a long time for stuff to be rebuilt. In Houston, I'm sure they're still rebuilding and stuff from that hurricane that was about the same time as the one in Puerto Rico. But what happens is we move on. We forget about it. You get fatigue on it and you're ready for the next thing. And players are no different than everybody else. And so, the players, oh man, well, we ain't had anybody test positive and stuff. You start relaxing a little bit, and that's when it can rear its head. It only takes one person coming in contact with somebody else who has it to pass it and spread it, as we see how quickly it can kind of go. And once it starts going, it's like, who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? And it's just difficult to stop. So hopefully they get a control of it and get a hold of it, not just for the NFL, but for all of us, because it's devastating. Speaking of devastating, oh boy, we have our defense, which has been not real good at all this year. I mean, you kind of say with our defense,
What the hell's going on out here?
you got to. You got to say that without a doubt. What the hell is going on in here? We've had some stinker of games for the defense, a defense that literally has been an embarrassment to what the Dallas Cowboys defense has been in the past. And then we have the New York Giants. The New York Giants. This is crazy when you start seeing the statistic right here. But let me pull this up a little bit closer here so we can see my beautiful face. Take a look at that. 21 players have more touchdowns than the entire New York Giant team. That's not a typo. That is the deal. CeeDee Lamb has as many touchdowns as a rookie wide receiver on a loaded team that the ball's got to go around to everybody as the New York Giants. They got 2. And then we've got the Dallas Cowboys defense. It's brutal when you think about this, because I want you to understand, let's get a little tighter in here. Hopefully I don't scare anybody. One other thing too, correction. Got to have a correction. When you're wrong, you have to admit you're wrong. When I was coming up the road yesterday, I had gotten some people that were notifying me, and they were saying that Joe Looney was lost for the season. Now, I had already heard that Joe Looney had a sprained MCL, and that he was going to be gone for a couple of weeks. I couldn't really check because I was driving, so I put it out there because I thought that that's what the case was. So, retraction there on that. We don't know if he's lost for the season. He's definitely out for at least a couple of weeks with the sprained MCL. Hopefully, it's not season ending. So, sorry, I got that one wrong. I wasn't able to back check it and everything else. So, apologies there. When you're wrong, you're wrong. You got to admit you're wrong. But here's what's amazing. Matt Everfuss, I can't pronounce his last name, who used to be our linebacker coach, went to Indianapolis and is their defensive coordinator. He has that Indianapolis Colts defense balling out. In 4 games, they've given up 56 points. 56 points. Look, let me see. They're number 1 in defense right now, allowing only 14 points a game. That's really good. And only giving up 4.4 yards per play. That's run and pass. That's not just run. That's run and pass. That's total. On the ground, they're giving up 3.6 yards. Phenomenal. In the air, they're giving up 9.6 per completions. Okay? And you got to figure that that's really, really, really good. That's what you want to see. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're really great. They're only giving up 58 points. 4.8 yards on the ground, and 12 yards per completion. So they're giving up a little bit more on it, but they're holding people out the end zone. Kansas City with Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes must be playing on defense too. They're giving up 70 points. And it's so much easier for your offense when your defense can stop people. It's really incredible. Oh, and the other thing too, look. 7 takeaways. 7 takeaways. When you can get 7 takeaways, also helps out your offense. Well, you know what? I'll go down a little bit further. San Francisco, just giving up 71 points, okay? Baltimore Ravens, 73. Tennessee Titans, 74. So we have right there teams, let's see, 74, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6 teams that are giving up 74 points. Or less, right? Let's go down. I'm going down, 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 all the way down here. 146 is what our Dallas Cowboys defense is giving up points in 4 games. There are 7 teams that are giving up half. Half, Eddie. I want half. Half of the points that we're giving up per game. That's just unbelievable. That is just, it's literally 146 points a game. We're giving up 4.9 yards per carry. I remember Coach Weaver. I think it was Coach Weaver. In high school, I remember him saying, if we could rush 5 yards per play, we'd never pass the ball. We literally would never throw the football. And here it is, the Dallas Cowboys are giving up 4.9 yards per rush and 11.7 yards per pass. And worst of all, you can't see it there. Let's see. Takeaways. 2. I should have looked up to see how many players have more interceptions than we have as a team in takeaways. And I guarantee there's quite a few. I want to read a quote. Shout out to Miss Jackie for sending this to me. Against the run, the Dallas Cowboys defensive line has been mauled and mashed at the point of attack. They've been blown off the ball, dropped into the laps of unsuspected linebackers on the second level. The lack of gap control is problematic for the defensive scheme, and that's expected plug in at least one defenders in every gap. Yeah, that's part of the problem. That's what I always say, that you can have 10 guys doing the right thing, but if one guy doesn't do the right thing, then you're screwed. And gap integrity, I've screamed this because you'll get a great pass rush, but if somebody ends up being in the same spot as another person, you're leaving a space for the quarterback to have vision and to step up and to take off. And the same thing with runs. The guys are missing their assignments, and maybe some of the guys are showboating. I don't know, trying to make a play, but they're getting out of where they're supposed to be. They're not taking care of their responsibilities. I wanted to make sure I read from Bucky Brooks. Where is it? After studying 4 games of Cowboys' defensive failures, I don't know what the unit identity is. The defense is a mix of read and react plays and indefensible blitzes with blown coverages in the back end. On top of the schematic failures, the defense isn't a hard playing unit, and laziness shows up repeatedly on tape. I've said that. With a must-win game on the horizon, Nolan has to do some soul-searching to determine the best way to help his players play at a high level, whether it's scaling back on some of the tactics or finding a few concepts that the team has done really well. Nolan has to put them in the right situation to succeed. In addition, he needs to demand more effort and better execution for players when he finally gets on the same page. If the Cowboys are going to turn it around on the defense this year, Nolan will need to rely on his experience and wisdom to come up with a plan that helps the defense reach its potential in a hurry. So, yeah. I was looking for where he had said, oh, this might be the wrong article. Where he literally said, we need to identify the thoroughbreds from the donkeys. Yeah. And it seemed like we got more donkeys playing right now. It seems like almost everybody's playing like a donkey. Yeah. So we got problems. No more excuse for players. I really want to read this. Oh, here we go. This is it. The lackadaisical effort embarrassing to watch as a fan or an observer, and it should make players shrink in their seats during film sessions. Players should not expect a stern lecture from their coach, but they should also receive rebukes from the hardest workers on the team. Financial guru Dave Ramsey frequently points out that you can't keep thoroughbreds and donkey in the same stable due to the different approaches to work. Thoroughbreds must be restrained due to their energy and exuberance, while donkeys need a constant kick in the ass. Wow. The Cowboys need to identify the thoroughbreds and donkeys on their roster and encourage the thoroughbreds to take charge of the program. The leaders need to hold the defensive donkeys accountable for their efforts on the field and demand more of them on the field. In addition, the leaders need to make sure everyone is paying attention in meetings and on the practice field to avoid reoccurring mistakes that have plagued this team from the beginning of the season. If the players are able to police themselves and raise the standard within the locker room, the Cowboys can certainly turn things around from a disappointing start. Donkeys and thoroughbreds. Not my words. Bucky Brooks. But well said. Because what we have seen so far is some horse shit. It really is. You can't tell me that those guys that we have out there are honestly that bad. I just fail to believe. I fail to believe that any team, any professional athletes could actually be that bad. I 2 takeaways. Giving up 146 points. Giving up almost 5 yards per rush. I mean, that's disgrace. And it's not defensible. You can't make any excuses for that. Yeah, there's no excuses for that. So I hope that the Dallas Cowboys defense can come alive against the worst offense in the NFL. If you can't do it this week, bro, then they need to just fire everybody, just start pulling people off the street. All right, y'all. we got work to do today, and we're going to take care of talking about the Dallas Cowboys. I'm Mark Holmes, and I will be seeing you soon.